The sun of Horizon Ridge rose slowly over the red plains. The colony was small, with only a few dozen buildings and families trying to make a life on this quiet world. Farmers tended to hydroponic fields. Children ran along dusty roads, and the hum of engines filled the air. Life was simple, and most people felt safe. Ethan, a young engineer, walked toward the maintenance bay. He carried a toolbox and a datapad, checking the colony's power systems. The solar panels had been giving strange readings lately. As he worked, he noticed the faint buzz of the communication array. He frowned. Sometimes the signals carried warnings, but usually it was nothing important. "Hey, Ethan," a voice called. It was Ryan, a security officer, and Ethan's friend. "Did you see the report from Sector 9? Another freighter was attacked near the outer rim." Ethan shook his head. "Probably just pirates. Too far from here. We're safe." Ryan's face was serious. "I don't know. This is the third report this week. They say it's fast, coordinated, and brutal. I've never seen anything like it." Ethan tapped his datapad. "Well, our colony is small. Even if they come near, we have defenses. Mostly." He smiled, though he was unsure. Meanwhile, in the medical center, Laura checked on patients. The small clinic was quiet, filled with the soft smell of antiseptic and herbs grown in hydroponic gardens. She was calm, gentle, and very skilled. Children from nearby farms came in with small injuries or stomach bugs, and Laura treated them with patience. Ethan and Laura met at the central square just before breakfast. "How's everything?" Ethan asked. "Quiet. Too quiet," Laura said. She frowned. She had a feeling that something was about to change. At that moment, the colony's small orbiting patrol ship picked up strange readings. Captain Elliot stared at the monitor, narrowing his eyes. Multiple fast-moving signals appeared near the system's edge. He sent a warning message to Horizon Ridge. On the colony, the communication array beeped. The voice of the patrol captain came through in broken bursts. "Unknown fleet. Hostile. Prepare. Shield. Colony." The last words cut off. Ethan's heart sank. He ran to the command center with Laura and Ryan. The colony's governor, an older woman named Claire, was already at the console, listening to the damaged message. Her face was pale but firm. Before anyone could speak, a bright flash appeared in the sky. Ethan and Laura rushed outside. Through the thin atmosphere, they could see shapes moving. Enormous alien ships had dropped out of faster-than-light space. Their hulls, black and jagged, glowing with red lights. They moved with terrible speed toward the colony. "They're here," Ryan whispered, gripping his weapon. He and other guards ran toward defensive turrets. The aliens had no warning for humanity. They only had destruction in mind. A booming voice echoed from the largest ship. It was not human, but the translation device made the words understandable. "Humans of Horizon Ridge. You are weak. Your colonies will fall. Your lives are forfeit." Ethan's hands shook. Laura grabbed his arm. She held the children near her, trying to calm them. The sky burned as the aliens fired. Satellites in orbit exploded. The spaceport's shield flared and then failed. The colony had little time. Ryan fired his rifle, but it was useless against the alien weapons. Ethan helped move children toward a reinforced shelter. The ground shook from explosions. Buildings crumbled. Smoke and fire spread quickly. One of the alien troops landed near the hydroponic fields. Tall, armored, with strange weapons, they advanced, tearing through walls and grabbing colonists. Ethan saw Ryan fall while covering a group of children. He felt anger rise. But there was nothing he could do in that moment. In the command center, Claire tried to send a last message. The transmitter's sparks flew, as alien energy blasts hit the building. She sent the signal into deep space, hoping someone on Earth would receive it. Her voice was calm but urgent. The aliens moved on after burning much of the colony. The survivors gathered in the shelters. Ethan, Laura, and a few others helped the wounded. The smell of smoke and scorched metal filled the air. Everywhere they looked, buildings had fallen. Families were missing. It felt impossible to believe that such horror had come without warning. "We have to survive," Laura said softly, tending to a child with a burned arm. Ethan nodded. He wanted to shout at the sky, at the aliens, at everything. Instead, he helped people move to safer areas. In orbit, the damaged patrol ship's last transmission finally left the system. It carried a fractured message: Horizon Ridge, colony under attack, aliens, prisoners, need help. Far away, on Earth, a hidden base in the Rocky Mountains received the signal. Red lights flashed on consoles. Director Claire, a calm and quiet woman with gray eyes, stood before a large screen. She listened carefully. The screams, the explosions, the desperate calls for help reached her ears. Without a word, she pressed a single button. Her hand did not shake. A secure communication channel opened. Orders went out immediately. Secret and direct. The program that no one in the galaxy had ever heard of was about to awaken. Beneath the Rocky Mountains, enormous hangars contained ships unlike any humans had used before. Their hulls curved like scales. Their engines glowed like coals ready to ignite. Pilots called them dragons. Mason, a veteran pilot, walked through the hangar. His black hair was streaked with gray, and his eyes were sharp. Beside him, Olivia, a skilled test pilot, adjusted her flight suit. Both knew the meaning of the red alert. The colonies had been attacked. People were dying. "We are going to fight," Mason said quietly. Olivia nodded. They understood each other without words. The dragons were more than ships. They had minds, partially alive, connected to the pilots. The neural link made the bond feel like two halves of a single being. Mason would fly with Shadowwind, a black dragon. Olivia with Starflare, a silver one. Engineers loaded plasma lances, kinetic spears, and smart mines. The weapons gleamed under the hangar lights. The pilots walked past, feeling the weight of responsibility. They were not just defending Earth. They were responding to a crime that no other human fleet had faced before. Director Claire spoke to the pilots. Images of Horizon Ridge flashed on the screen. Burned buildings, dead colonists, terrified children. Her words were calm, simple, but carried immense weight. They thought humans would beg for mercy. They thought we were soft. They were wrong. "The dragons of Earth will answer," she said. Outside, the sun rose over the mountains. Shadows stretched long across the hangars as the dragons lifted off. The engines hummed, glowing. The pilots felt the link with the ships, alive and aware. Ethan and Laura, back on Horizon Ridge, helped survivors gather in shelters. The fires still burned, but there was hope now. A hope carried across the stars. Help was coming. The last of the signal from the patrol ship flickered out. The message, broken and faint, reached the dragons. It spoke of fear, death, and desperation, but also survival. The dragons of Earth heard it, and for the first time in a long time, humanity's fury, cunning, and endurance prepared to meet the invaders. Ethan, looking at the darkened sky, whispered to himself, "They came for us, but Earth will fight back." Laura took the children's hands. "We're not alone. They will come, and they will show them what humans are." Above, dragons of metal and fire rose higher. The engines flared, cutting the sky. The response had begun. The dragons of Earth rose above the Rocky Mountains, their engines glowing like molten fire. The sky was clear, but their minds were full of the destruction that had come to Horizon Ridge. Mason, in the cockpit of Shadowwind, felt the metal dragon hum beneath him. The link between them was strong. The ship knew him, and he knew it. Every movement, every thought, flowed between them like water. Olivia sat in Starflare, adjusting her controls. "Always," Mason said. "Let's show them what humans do when they're pushed." Inside the underground command center, Director Claire watched multiple screens. The images of Horizon Ridge and the other destroyed colonies flickered. She did not flinch. Her voice was calm but firm. "The Karun do not understand humans," she said. "They see us as weak. They do not know how harsh life on Earth has made us. That will be their mistake. Their people see their mistake." General Harris, a rough man with deep lines on his face, nodded. "We cannot wait for the main fleet. The colonies need immediate help. The dragons will move first." The hangars were enormous. The dragon ships rested on heavy magnetic platforms. Engineers in dark suits moved quickly, loading plasma lances, kinetic spears, and smart mines. Each weapon was carefully calibrated to the dragon ship's energy systems. Mason and Olivia walked along the lines of dragons. Some were black like Shadowwind, some silver like Starflare, and others in shades of red and bronze. Each ship had a mind, partially alive, and each mind was unique. Pilots spoke softly to their dragons, feeling them think and respond. "Remember," Olivia said, "we are not just attacking. We are hunting, rescuing, and teaching them a lesson. The Karun must remember, humans are not easy prey." Mason nodded. "We do this right, or the colonies are lost." The dragons' minds whispered to their pilots in thoughts and short phrases. Shadowwind's voice was calm, precise. "All systems ready. Engines warm. Tactical scan green." Starflare replied in Olivia's mind. "Shields charged. Weapons ready. Scanning sectors for threats." In the command center, Claire projected a map of the outer systems. Multiple red dots marked the locations of the Karun raiding fleet. Some had attacked Horizon Ridge, others hit smaller colonies nearby. "They are organized," she said, "but they are not prepared for the dragons." Mason studied the map. "We need to hit them fast, strike weak points, and rescue prisoners. If we fight them directly, they might escape or destroy the colonies they hold." Olivia traced the fleet paths with her finger. "We can cut their communications first, then disable their cruisers, and finally take the transport ships. That's where the prisoners are." General Harris grunted. "Exactly. They will expect a normal fleet, not a small, fast, and clever squadron like yours. Use that to your advantage." Engineers finished their checks. The Dragon's engines flared, humming with energy. Their hulls glimmered in the hangar lights. Every pilot felt the weight of responsibility. They were going into dangerous space against a fleet that had killed without mercy. Mason and Shadowwind moved to the launch bay. The Dragon's eyes glowed faintly as it responded to Mason's thoughts. "Ready to fly," it said. Olivia climbed into Starflare. The silver dragon flexed its wings inside the hangar, sensing her presence. "Let's save them," she whispered. Director Claire activated the launch sequence. Magnetic lifts released, the dragons slowly at first. Then the engines roared. The ground shook as the ships lifted into the sky. Dust rose in clouds. The dragons moved in formation, leaving Earth behind. As they reached orbit, the planets below became small and distant. Horizon Ridge was burning in memory, but the pilots did not forget it. They carried the anger, the fear, and the hope of all the humans in the colonies. Mason checked the sensors. Faint traces of the Karun fleet appeared at the edge of the human sectors. Their ships were larger, but slower than the dragons. Shadowwind adjusted its engines, preparing for faster-than-light travel. "Jump coordinates set," Olivia said. Starflare glimmered with energy. "Ready when you are." Mason nodded. Shadowwind surged forward. The stars stretched into lines as they entered faster-than-light space. The dragons moved as one, silent, deadly, and precise. In the ash belt, a region of debris and old battle remains, the Karun raiding fleet had taken refuge. The belt was perfect for hiding, with broken ships and floating rocks everywhere. The dragons slowed, careful not to collide with debris. "They should not expect us here," Mason said. Shadowwind's sensors scanned every rock, every signal, every movement. "They are reckless," Starflare added. "They will not notice small changes in warp signals." The dragons split. Mason and Shadowwind took one path. Olivia and Starflare another. Small reconnaissance drones were released to watch the fleet silently. The drones moved like shadows through the debris, invisible until they struck. Mason spotted the first target. A large cruiser damaged from earlier raids. The dragon's sensors detected prisoners on board. "We cannot destroy them," he told Shadowwind. The Black Dragon hummed in agreement. Olivia's squadron approached a group of Karun destroyers. Starflare's engines glowed brighter. "We need to disable their guns before they fire," she said. With precision, the dragons moved. Shadowwind fired a kinetic spear at the cruiser's sensor array. It struck perfectly, disabling the ship's targeting systems without harming the prisoners. Starflare released small mines that clung to the hulls of the destroyers. They waited silently, ready to detonate when the Karun fired. The Karun were taken by surprise. They expected slow, weak ships, not dragons that moved with intelligence and precision. The dragons twisted and turned through the ash belt, striking from impossible angles. Mason felt a shock through the link. A glancing hit from a Karun fighter scraped Shadowwind's wing. He gritted his teeth. The dragon adjusted instantly, absorbing the damage. Olivia rolled Starflare, drawing fire from the destroyers. The mines ignited. The explosions rocked the enemy ships, disabling several at once. The dragons coordinated. One moment they were in front, the next behind, then above. Their movements were almost impossible to track. The Karun scrambled, firing blindly, but they could not hit the dragons. Mason scanned the disabled cruiser. The prisoners were alive and unharmed. He made a quick plan. A small boarding team could reach them. Olivia contacted him. "I see the path. It's narrow, but safe. We can get them out." Shadowwind purred. "Let's move." The dragons cleared the path and created a protective screen. The Marines in small pods launched from Shadowwind's hold. Ethan and Laura were waiting. Ethan helped guide the Marines through the debris toward the disabled cruiser. Laura stayed near the pods, checking the systems. "We can save them," she said. "We have to move quickly." The boarding team reached the cruiser, neutralizing Karun guards with precision and efficiency. They freed the prisoners, who cried and hugged each other in relief. Ethan saw children from Horizon Ridge, terrified but alive. His heart lifted slightly. Back in orbit, Mason and Olivia watched as their dragons kept the Karun fleet occupied. The aliens realized too late that humans were not easy to destroy. The dragons had come to answer the attack, and they were clever, fast, and relentless. Director Claire's voice came through secure comms. "Remember, this is only the beginning. The colonies must be saved, but the Karun must know the cost of attacking humans." Mason nodded. Shadowwind's engines glowed brighter. ready for the next move. Olivia's eyes were sharp, and Starflare's hull shimmered with silver light. The dragons of Earth were hunting, and the Karun would not forget this day. Ethan helped the last group of children onto the pods. Laura held the youngest ones, whispering calm words. She looked out at the distant glow of the dragons, flying between rocks and enemy ships. "They will protect us," she said. "And they will teach the Karun a lesson," Ethan replied, gripping her hand. The dragons moved like living shadows, blending with the debris, striking without warning, saving humans, and showing the first proof that the galaxy had underestimated humanity. In the ash belt, the Karun fleet tried to regroup, but the dragons were already in position for the next strike. Every movement was calculated, every attack precise. The humans were not only surviving, they were answering. Mason looked at the cluster of ships. Shadowwind hummed with anticipation. "Ready for the main fleet?" he asked. Starflare responded in Olivia's mind. "Always. We are dragons of Earth. This is our moment." And above the cold, broken debris of the ash belt, dragons of metal and fire moved silently, preparing to strike the Karun fleet and rescue every colonist they could reach. The humans were coming, and their fury was only beginning. The ash belt was quiet, except for the occasional scrape of floating debris. The Karun fleet tried to regroup, but the dragons of Earth moved like shadows between the rocks. Mason and Shadowwind scanned every angle. Every ship, every signal, every movement was tracked. They had learned that patience was as important as speed. Olivia and Starflare circled ahead. "They are reorganizing," she said. "We need to strike before they repair their shields." Mason nodded. "Let's start with the smaller cruisers. Disable them, and we can get to the transports." The dragons split into two groups. Shadowwind led a strike team toward a cruiser that had fire control systems still active. Starflare and another dragon moved to block escape paths. The remaining dragons hid in the debris, ready to ambush any reinforcements. Shadowwind's engines glowed as it dove toward the cruiser. Mason felt the hum of the ship through the neural link. "Targeting sensors first," he said. He fired a kinetic spear that struck the ship's sensor array dead on. Sparks flew along the hull. The Karun crew shouted in panic, unable to aim their weapons properly. Starflare moved through the chaos. Olivia released smart mines that attached to the cruiser's engines. The mines were timed to detonate when the cruiser tried to move. She could feel the dragon tense, sensing the enemy's panic. "They are not used to this," Olivia said. "They think humans are slow, weak, and afraid." They are wrong. The Karun began firing blindly. One destroyer aimed at Shadowwind, but Mason twisted the dragon in impossible angles. Shots hit rocks or exploded far away. Shadowwind's hull shimmered, absorbing minor hits. Mason scanned the fleet. Several transports carried human prisoners. They could not be destroyed. He sent coordinates to the other dragons. "We need a path to the transports. They are our priority." Olivia nodded. Starflare's engines flared. She sent a signal to the other dragons, coordinating movements with near-perfect timing. The dragons' minds worked as one. Their pilots' thoughts synchronized. The first boarding pods launched from Shadowwind and Starflare. Inside were Ethan, Laura, and a small team of Marines. Ethan felt fear and excitement at the same time. This was the moment to save the people from Horizon, Ridge, and the other colonies. "Stay calm," Laura whispered to the children in her group. Mason led Shadowwind toward another cruiser, scanning for enemy fighters. The Karun were fast but predictable. They expected humans to fight slowly and cautiously. The dragons were neither. Shadowwind fired a plasma lance that pierced the cruiser's outer shields. Sparks and fire spread across the hull. The Karun scrambled, trying to save their systems. Mason twisted the dragon in a sharp turn, dodging incoming fire while keeping the lance steady. Starflare and Olivia blocked the escape path for a group of destroyers. The smart mines detonated in perfect timing, sending ships spinning into debris. Alarms rang through the enemy fleet. The Karun commander realized that humans were hunting them, not just defending. "They are clever," Olivia said to Starflare. "Faster and smarter than they expected." Shadowwind dove into the debris field near a disabled cruiser. Mason sent the boarding team toward the holding area. Ethan and the Marines moved quietly, disabling Karun guards one by one. The prisoners looked scared, but hope filled their eyes when they saw humans. Ethan reached a group of children from Horizon Ridge. "You are safe now," he said. They clung to him, tears on their faces. Laura checked the youngest, making sure no one was hurt badly. Back outside, Mason saw another Karun cruiser approaching. He fired a kinetic spear at its engines, causing a massive explosion that rocked the fleet. Shadowwind's hull absorbed some heat, but the dragon remained agile. Olivia and Starflare moved to assist. Starflare fired a plasma lance that disabled the cruiser's shields. Olivia guided the boarding pods to the transport, holding more prisoners. Ethan and Laura directed the children and adults into safe areas of the pods. The Karun were panicked now. Their fleet was in chaos. Some ships tried to escape, but the dragons anticipated every move. Mines, lances, and kinetic weapons struck before the Karun could react. Mason felt Shadowwind tense. "They are gathering their remaining forces. We may face the command ship next." Olivia nodded. Starflare's sensors picked up a large vessel at the edge of the belt. It was heavily armed and still operational. "The command ship will be our final challenge," she said. The dragons coordinated. Shadowwind and Starflare moved to block reinforcements, while other dragons continued rescuing prisoners. The boarding teams worked efficiently. Also, Cresances, humans who had been captured for days, some weeks, now felt the touch of freedom. Ethan helped a group of children into a pod. "Almost there," he said. "Keep moving. Stay calm." Laura comforted a small boy who was crying. "We are here. We will not let anything happen to you." The Karun fighters realized the humans were stronger than expected. Their weapons were precise. Their movements coordinated. The dragons' speed and cleverness overwhelmed them. Some ships tried to flee, only to run into traps laid by other dragons hiding in the debris. Mason targeted the final cruiser before the command ship. Shadowwind fired a plasma lance that cut through its hull. The ship spun, unable to stabilize. The boarding pods cleared the last prisoners from it. Olivia guided Starflare toward the command ship. The vessel was large, with multiple weapon arrays and shields. The dragons could not destroy it directly without risking the prisoners. They needed a plan. "We will disable their systems first," Mason said. Shadowwind's sensors scanned for weak points. "Target the shield generators and engines. Do not hit the transport pods inside." Starflare positioned itself on the far side of the command ship. Olivia fired a precise shot that struck the shield generator, weakening it. Alarms blared across the enemy vessel. The Karun crew panicked, unsure where the attack was coming from. Mason and Shadowwind moved to strike the engines. Kinetic spears pierced the hull, causing explosions in the engine cores. The command ship rocked violently. Some shields failed completely. The Karun tried to counterattack, but the dragons anticipated every move. Ethan watched from the pods as the command ship shuddered. "They are winning," he said. The prisoners cheered quietly. Hope filled the room. Laura smiled. "Humans never give up," she said softly. The dragons continued their assault, but carefully. No prisoners were harmed. Shadowwind and Starflare moved in perfect coordination, striking the ship in weak points while dodging heavy fire. The command ship's weapons were disabled one by one. Finally, the command ship was crippled. It drifted in the debris field, unable to escape or fight effectively. The remaining Karun ships tried to regroup, but the dragons had cut off their paths. The fleet was in chaos. Ethan and Laura guided the prisoners into the pods. Every human rescued was counted, and none were left behind. Mason and Olivia watched as the boarding teams completed their mission. The dragon's work was nearly done. Mason contacted Olivia. "Command ship is down. Prisoners are safe. The fleet is scattered." "Good work," Olivia replied. "Let's clear the area and prepare for extraction." The dragons led the rescued transports through the debris field. Shadowwind and Starflare flanked the pods, protecting them from any remaining Karun fighters. The fleet was broken, and the dragons had shown their full power. As they approached a safe jump point, Ethan looked at the children in the pods. "You are safe now. Earth sent its dragons for you." Laura held a small girl's hand. "We will take you home." The children smiled faintly, tired but relieved. Mason and Shadowwind prepared for faster-than-light jump. Olivia and Starflare did the same. The dragons were ready to take the rescued humans back to safety. Director Claire's voice came through secure comms. "This was only the beginning. The Karun will remember today. The dragons have answered." The dragons jumped into faster-than-light space, leaving the ash belt behind. The Karun fleet was in disarray. Their raiding days in human space were over, at least for now. Ethan looked at the stars ahead. "We made it," he said softly. Laura nodded. "And humans will rebuild. Always." Mason and Olivia shared a thought through their dragons. "The dragons of Earth protect our people. This is what humans do when threatened. This is only the start." The rescued colonists felt hope for the first time in days. The dragons had struck with speed, intelligence, and fire. The Karun had learned that humans were not weak. The dragons of Earth led the way home, carrying the survivors through the stars. The first strike was over, but the message was clear. Humans fight back, and they do so with cunning, strength, and unity. The galaxy would hear of Horizon Ridge, of the Ash Belt, and of the dragons that answered. Humanity's fury was not silent. It had begun.